Today on the podcast, drama means romance. Drama means reality. Drama means a television reality show. Now we're talking about the first ever Korean LGBTQ plus dating reality show. It is called His Man. There's been 2 seasons, 1 and 2, and we're going to cover a little bit of both of them. My name is Ryan. Sitting next to me is Mel, and this is actually something that I haven't seen, so we are bringing in a special guest to talk to Mel about it. But stay tuned anyway. It's going to be a good talk.
Okay, so before we start with my discussion with Alexis, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the show. The show is a Korean reality show. The first season aired in 2022, and the second season just finished airing August 4th. And basically, there are 8 contestants. They introduce to you 6 at first, and then the other 2 kind of come in and like mess things up after the 6 kind of already get to know each other and are comfortable with each other. Then, you know, they're the ones that kind of stirs up not problems, but they're like, oh, you know, like it'll first come in with like the 7th contestant, and then everyone's like, oh no, we're at an odd number. And then later another contestant comes in, and then they're all even again and, you know, can be matched in pairs.
Did that happen in the first episode, or do they wait a couple episodes before they bring in these extra 2 people?
So in the first season, it waited, and then this season, it came right out as in like the first episode. So I think they did some changes with it, but basically they kind of have missions that they like randomly just drop off like mission cards and like in the morning, and then they find it on the coffee table, and they're like, and then they have to read it. And sometimes it's like very time based, where they're like, oh, whoever sees the card first, you know, can make the decision first, or like it's more beneficial to them. Sometimes it just doesn't matter. As long as everyone sees it, it's fine. But it's like on these cards, there's certain missions, and then it kind of leads them into like, oh, who's gonna date who, or who gets to share, you know, a room with who. And it's kind of like they don't really communicate with the producers, like they're not talking like past the camera. They're just, you know, they read the cards, they know what they're going to do, and then they do that.
So the competition aspect of the show is just in order to get kind of pecking order with the dates. Like if you win a competition, you get first choice of who you're going to date, or who you're going to share a room with, or what you're going to do. It's not, the competition's not the point of the show. The dating, ultimately the romance is the point of the show.
Yeah, the romance is point of the show, but there's not really like competition per se. So like one of the things is like, oh, they wake up in the morning, and then there's the mission card that's like on the coffee table, and then whoever goes sees it, then they have like other cards that they can pick out. And so like sometimes they're like an arrow, and then so like if it's like the arrow, then the person with the arrow card can choose the person with the heart card. So that means, so like if someone you're dating or you want to date, so you get an arrow card, and then the person that you want to date also has an arrow card. You two cannot go on a date together. You have to pick a person that has a heart card. So if you're like, you specifically want, you know, someone, like you want to date with someone, either you are gonna be like, you know, you'll pick the heart card, and hopefully the person will pick a arrow card and they'll pick you on the date. But if you want to be on the offensive, then you want to go and get the arrow card, and then hope that the other person that you want to date doesn't also get the arrow card.
So it's just a way for the producers to stir up drama between the couples, because, oh, I want to date that person, but I can't, so I have to date someone else. And then am I jealous that they're going on a date with someone else? And then the drama ensues from there.
Yes.
Now, initially, when they first get on the show, like in the first episode, like, is there a way that they decide who they want to pair off with? Is it just like, are they all mixing together and they're talking? Or is there like, so, you know, like there's like American reality shows where it's like they always have stupid concepts at the beginning, like Love is Blind, and you go and you talk through a screen at someone, you can only hear their voice and see their silhouette, and then you decide like door number 1, 2, 3, or 4. Or is there like a dumb...
Not really. So basically, in the beginning, so in season 1, there were actually cards out, right, with like an address that you're supposed to go to, and then you pick that card, and whatever the address is, that's where you go. And so usually you have a pair, right? So like you'll pick an address and someone else within the contestants will pick the same address as you, and then you meet there, and that's when you start your first date, right? But in this one, it turned out a little bit different because there were only 2 locations at the beginning. So then you go and you see these 2 people, and they show up at the same location, and they assume that that's who they're dating. And then all of a sudden, a third person comes, and then now there's like a throuple type of date. And then now they're, talking. And then so that's how the first 6 people like meet. So there's like 3 people at one location and 3 people at another location, and then all those 3 are having their dates. And then after that they introduce another, and then like on the next day they introduced another person.
So all 8 people aren't in the same location. It's 4 and 4, or do they all ultimately end up in the same location?
It was 3 and 3 at the beginning, and then the next day, when people are about to go out on a date, they introduce a new person that shows up at the house. And basically, that new person gets to decide who they want to date just from like first glances of who they're attracted to. They get to decide who he wants to go on a date with. And then they go on a date, and the person that basically the new person took their date from has to stay home.
And they're still at 2 separate places at this point.
No, at this point they're at one house.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about. So they start out at 2 different places, 3 and 3.
Yeah, at then like a coffee shop or something.
Right, and then the 6 people end up all at a house together.
Yes.
And then 2 people show up, and now there's 8 people at the house together.
Yeah.
And the 2 newbies basically scoop up 2 of the 6 originals.
Yes.
And then leave someone out, obviously, in the cold.
Well, basically, the first newbie left someone out in the cold. They stayed home, and then the new newbie, the last newbie, comes and sweeps that person off on a date.
Okay.
So then all of them actually get to go on a date.
All right.
Yeah.
So is it Big Brother vibes? Like, because they're all living together? Like, is there a lot of time where they're just all hanging out in the house, and they're just... obviously like drama's been created, or the producers are going whisper in the ear or something that causes conversations or something.
Yeah.
And then there's planned activities as well. So
so there's just like board games, like they played like Jenga, where they have to tell like story, like I think there's stuff written on each block of that Jenga. It's like love Jenga or romance Jenga, and then they just like answer questions that's on the block, but they're like interacting, like they all like eat together, like I think like each day someone is assigned to like cook, and so then everyone eats together, so they're all like intermingling and like getting to know each other, and then like the whole like dividing like who gets what room, and it's like if depending on like whatever game they win, they'll pick like, oh, do they get to stay in a room alone, or do they get one roommate, or are they staying in a room with like 3 other people? So it kind of...
Do you think a show like this, being that it's Korean reality show, but it's also LGBTQ, do you find that this show is an evolution of the Korean variety show family, or do you think this is more influenced by the kind of reality show craze that kind of came out of Europe and America? Because they have those Korean variety shows, the ones where they go camping together, and they're not really there's no dating aspect to them. It's usually celebrities, and they all go hang out together. It's like the UJ Soap parties.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call them, but like...
So they're definitely not over the top like those, and they're not playing games that are so like involved. But they have like... I think it's more of a mix, so you do get that like... that kind of Western influence of reality shows, but also like ultimately it is Korean, so it has like little aspects of like the Korean style variety shows, but less of that than the Western side.
How much do they camp and how much do they cook? Because it feels like every Korean variety show I've ever seen, they cook a lot and they camp a lot.
So, funny enough, there is a lot of cooking, but they don't emphasize the cooking. They emphasize the person that's cooking, right? So they're like, oh, this person can cook really well, and you know, they're making whatever dish for everyone to eat, but ultimately, like, everyone like helps out. So there is a cooking aspect to it, but they're not like over their shoulders, like watching what they're making. And then they do go on camping dates or like ice fishing dates or whatever, because those are like a lot of that happens in the Korean variety shows. But it's more like they're dating. It's like an activity that they get to go do together. So
Right. Okay. So it does sound like kind of a mix of the two genres. They're taking that classic Korean variety show and pairing it with the reality dating show concept, and then just kind of putting it all in a
yeah.
blender and letting the drama play out.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I definitely say that the Western reality TV shows are like way, like, all the drama and like the excessive like fighting is so amped up, where in His Man is like generally everyone is like getting along, and they're all like you know, they all become close friends. At least it feels like that. There is like a smidgen of like, you know, triangle. I think they really tried to force it in season 1, and then there was like a very like, it felt quite real, but I'm not sure, you know, because you'll never know if it was forced or not. But so there was like a love triangle in season 2 as well. So
Okay, at least I think I understand the format now before you guys start talking about it and I'm completely lost.
yeah. All right, so that is the kind of how the show really works. It's just, it lasts about a week, so it's not this like long, you know, dragging show. Like, I feel like a lot of times when you're watching like the Western reality shows, it feels so long, and they're like just spending way too much time together, and then yeah. So, but a week is very like tolerable for, you know, 8 people to share a house together and like not super get on each other's nerves. But yeah. Okay, so we have Alexis on the line. She has her own podcast called Drama Queen. Definitely go check her out. Also on Spotify. So welcome, Alexis.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Drama Means. Or should I call you by mail?
Whichever you want, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So
Hi,
yeah.
listeners. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I've been so excited to talk to you about His Man. I know we always like text each other about the show whenever it's airing. So yeah. So this will be fun.
Oh, I'm excited. I recently finished season 2. Of course, season 1 was kind of the the pilot. They testing the waters. Season 2 came in, and I definitely jumped on that boat and had to finish it up.
Was it season 1 the reason that you actually got the subscription, the iQIYI subscription?
Between that and Ken Porsche, definitely those two were
Uh-huh.
the reason that I jumped on the iQIYI subscription.
Yeah.
I had to get more.
I thought that was really funny because I remember saying like, you need to get iQIYI, you need to get iQIYI, and you're like, no, I'm not going to. I don't need another platform. And then His Man comes up and Ken Porsche comes up, and you're like, okay.
It's like they give you just the right amount of teaser to pull you in, and you're like, "When's the next episode?" And they're like, "Oh, it's already up." It's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I have to wait 2 weeks?" No, 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 no. I need it now.
yeah. So I definitely remember us being quite addicted to His Man season 1.
I think it was so, anybody that's familiar with Korean culture knows how revolutionary it is for someone to go into depth with regards to the LGBTQAI community. It's not something that you see portrayed quite often. I know that there's one like main comedian that's also a restaurateur that a lot of people are familiar with, but he's pretty much the only person that you see in mainstream television or TV shows. And so something like this coming out and being for the mainstream population was just mind blowing to me as a consumer of Korean content.
Yeah, and it feels so nice because now on TV there, you know, people can like have something to like relate
Oh yeah, and they picked a great cast for both seasons. I honestly, I have my favorite, but I fell in love with everybody on the cast. I think season two was able to be a little bit more open and free than season one was, since it was still kind of, the pilot season. But both seasons definitely gave me something to look forward to.
Yeah. So would you say you prefer or you liked watching His Man 2 over His Man 1?
I I would say yeah. Hismet. So my favorite guy is in His Man One, but the overall pilot storyline, love story was from His Man Two.
Yeah, I also agree. I think when His Man 1 first was airing, I was pretty addicted to it. But after when season 2 started airing, I definitely felt more involved. I was more like, okay,
Hmm.
I have to watch it right as it showed up on iQIYI, and
Hmm.
I also like in season 1, I'm not sure I actually had like a couple that I was like rooting for to get together.
Hmm.
Whereas in season 2, I'm like, okay, this is my ship. I'm going
Yeah.
to ship them, and then I remember like texting you, and I'm like, okay, so who do you ship together?
And literally, episode one, I was like, I have my ship. I have my ship already. And it's very similar situation. Season one, I was kind of like, oh, okay, let me get to know the guys. In season two, I was like, oh yeah, I want them to be a couple.
Yeah, except I think we are actually opposite on like we have two different ships.
Does it include one person the same?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I,
Definitely.
so I definitely am Sungho and Junsung's ship, and I
And
know that you are not.
I know I am Sungwoon and Sung Ho. It's the dimples. I'm a sucker for a dimple and a strong brow. And the two of them together, all the dates were super cute. And even, jumping a little ahead, all of their stuff that they posted since the show is really cute with regards to their interactions. But um, I'm not mad at the couple that was made at the end. I'm not.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay.
okay, I can deal with all of that. But definitely that was from the moment he walked into the restaurant in season two, I was like, I like them.
I know that Sonu's like dimple is very pronounced, but I feel like Judsong also has a dimple just on the left side, and it comes and goes, but it's there. It's like, it's peeking through the clouds. So
It is. It's a little there. I
yeah.
I like that he's kind of touchy feely too. Sungwoo feels a
Yes.
little reserved, a little mature, but almost to a fault where he's like, oh, I'm gonna behave this way. I'm kind of the dad figure.
Yeah.
And throughout the time, it kind of was like, oh, come on, just be a little bit wild. He is the type of guy that I'm typically friends with,
Uh-huh.
where unless you know, you don't know. It's one of those like things where it's like, oh, okay, well, this is just who this person is. It's not a part of their um, outward personality. But then when you find out, you're like, oh, give me all the tea. Stop playing with
Yeah.
me. And that's, that reserve. It's something reserve about him.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a one other the gentleman that plays the guitar or that's the music composer is kind of like that too, where he's kind of reserved,
Yeah.
and not really outwardly like, and I'm not saying that anybody has to hide who they are or anything like that, but it's just that like little bit of a personality quirk where it's like, oh, or more shy than anything, or quiet, or very thoughtful. I'm a talker, so
Yeah.
a quiet thoughtful person always is who I'm attracted to, the opposite of me.
So I think with Dubby is like I think he grew up in a very, very conservative Christian family. So
Hmm.
being reserved is like kind of how he was brought up, and especially when it comes to like his um like he hadn't come out to his family up until like very recently, right before
Yeah.
the show, and so I think he's used to being reserved. um,
Hmm.
but I also, and actually I think I've seen him before. Like when I remember when he joined the show, I'm like, I've seen him in like a drama before, but I don't remember which one, and I'm
Yes.
not even sure if I'm like, remembering incorrectly. But
No, he was
Uh,
on something before because I recognized his face as an American. And I kept saying
oh,
he played an American character, but I can't remember the show. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I felt bad for him because he was very like into Yoonhee, and the thing is he's the oldest and then
Hmm.
Yoonhee's the youngest, so like I
Hmm.
could totally see the like pulling back also, but then yet Yoonhee's the only one he's like interested in. So
I
I
wish he would have pursued Youngie just a touch.
I know. The thing is, if I were in his position and knowing how young the person I'm interested in it is, I would probably step back also. Like I also don't have that like I wouldn't have that courage to pursue.
I, it's hard because at the end, and I know I'm kind of jumping around, but towards the end where he's just like he missed that opportunity.
He
And
did.
granted, they could still be friends afterwards, but in that actual moment, it was like, this is the place. And then I realized like the timing wise was only 7 days, which also always throws me off. Because
Yeah.
it feels like it's longer than that, but it really is a short period of time. But
Yeah.
in that time, it's like, you just have a conversation with him, sit and pick his mind a little bit.
I know. That's the thing. I was thinking, what if, because Yoonghee, I mean, of course, Yoonghee like fell love at first sight for
Oh my gosh.
Sunwoo.
Oh,
But I think what really did it for Yoonghee was like when Sunwoo like kind of gave him that comfort and support when he was like really concerned about his future because he's like the
mhm,
youngest, he no longer can do taekwondo, and
mhm,
so he's like lost, right? And it was
yeah.
Sonu that kind of like comforted him, and like, everyone goes at their own pace, don't worry about like where you are at, you're a student. And I think if at some point Dabit was the one that comforted Yoonghee, it would be a totally different story, don't you
I
think?
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I think that's why I also kind of got that dad feel from Sungwook because he's having those conversations. He's got his own business and he's doing these things that add a level of maturity to him versus
Yeah.
just, oh, I want to go out and date and be cute. I think he's honestly on the path to look for his long-term relationship.
That is true. I do see that. I also like, and I'm not hating on it at all, but I do like realize during the show, like Sunwoo was more like testing the waters with everybody to see who he's like more relate with.
Compatible.
Yeah, more
Hmm.
compatible with. And whereas Junsung was very like, you're the one, I don't see anyone else except for you. And I mean, like, if it was me and someone said that to me, I would like have a lot of considerations. Like, even if I didn't think of that person as anyone that could be romantic, I would think
Hmm.
twice once they tell me that like I'm that important for you to not see anybody and just see me.
Hmm.
Like I feel like, I mean, that could totally move me, whereas like someone else that I'm interested in like is interested in to everybody, like rather than just me. Like I could see like that's why like
I
uh
am I'm a break hearts left and right for what I want. I'm like, okay, you
yeah.
like me, that's fine. I think I'm awesome too. It, I really, I don't know, like this season, I was rooting for so many couples. Um, Sung Ho and Sung Woo were supposed to go on we're supposed to go on their first date, and the date got canceled because a new member showed up.
Yeah.
Screaming, I was like, you can't do this to him. He was looking forward to it.
I know. And I honestly, if their date didn't get canceled, do you think things would go differently?
I honestly think so. I honestly think so because I
Yeah.
think when Sung Ho went on the date with the newest member
I think
when
it
he
was, well, I think he goes by Daniel.
okay, yeah, I know he put that in the chat.
Yeah.
Um,
So I forgot his actual Korean name, but he goes by Daniel, and he also his YouTube channel is also Daniel.
and I've actually watched his YouTube.
I used to, that's okay. So remember when I told you, I'm like, what if he's the producer on the show and he just kind of came in there to like stir things up because he produced so many of those like, blind date like
Hmm.
stuff on his YouTube. So I'm like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Wavy, reached out to him and was like, "Hey, can you kind of step in and like, be a contestant but also like stir things up and like,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I mean, I am saying like his little love triangle was like the most, drama through the whole show."
I Yeah, I can see it because my guy from season one, um, in my head I can't think of what his name is, but the tattoos that does the drag queen.
Lee Hyun or Danger and Sissy, whichever you
Yeah,
want to
Danger
call
and
him.
Danger and Sissy, because that's all I follow him, and he actually likes my posts when I post on his on his
Oh,
Insta. Um,
cool.
absolute that he was my favorite from season one. Danger and Sissy just unapologetically him.
Yeah.
And that's what I really, really enjoy. Is somebody that's gonna and when he came in on this, and I'm jumping around season one. Danger and Sissy shows up when the guys had already, he was the, as they call it, the catfish. He was the person that came in after everybody had already met. And they're
Yeah.
upstairs having their little brunch dinner type of thing. And he walks in, and I said, "Ooh, who is that?" I love it.
And did you see that he also made a little cameo on Daniel's YouTube channel?
Yeah, so that's, I was saying he was on Daniel's YouTube channel and did like a little dating flirty thing. And I was like, okay, excuse me, boo.
Yeah.
And then his friend that was on the show as well, that's the dancer, was on season one. I
Oh
follow
yeah.
I follow him as well. And let me tell you, when he goes to a ball, beware your eyes. Don't watch his clips at work.
That's
Love it.
true. I remember that clip where he was in that dance competition. That was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you. Okay, so after season one, we noticed that everyone started having like promoting their YouTube channels and
Hmm.
like, spending a lot of time together outside of the show. And then now in after season two, it's the same thing where like, they have Sung Ho and Jun Sung's 200-day anniversary get together and stuff like that, and they all come together. Do you think it's all for promotion, or do you think that they actually keep in touch and are friends in real life?
I think, as a person that has been through unique situations, you can only, people that have only gone through the trauma with you can relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they are actual friends. I don't think they meet up like every week or anything like that, but I do think it'll be like, hey, I'm free on Friday. And a couple other people are like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm free on Friday too. I think they have a group chat. And I think that group
Yes,
chat is is popping. And they just, they meet up for special occasions, because the fact that everybody showed up, that's not easy to do in this day and age, to get everybody to show up to a location at the same time and to
that's
actually
true.
look like they're having a good time.
That's true. I
Same
can.
thing with season one. I think there's people that are closer, especially because it's been what, about 6 or 7 months since season one started or ended. I think
Uh-huh.
there's people in season one that are closer. Like the gentleman that was pursuing Charming, they're pretty close because I see them together a lot.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and
I
oh,
did not know
Hokeep, what's
that.
his name? Hokeep and Danger and Sissy are close, but they run in the similar circle.
Yeah, and they've been friends before the show.
Yeah.
So, but I've noticed that Gil-chan is the one that keeps in touch with everybody.
Yeah, and even Mingyu was I want to say that's his name, was in that little fake YouTube teaser with Hoki. And this is his YouTube name. I can't remember his
That's
actual
that's
name.
Changil.
Is that Chanyo that was in it with them?
Changil as
Changyo?
Chan.
Chan. Chan.
Yeah,
Gyo.
Changil. That's the one that I said he keeps in touch with everybody. I think he's not the youngest, but I think he's like pretty young.
Was the youngest?
Youngest is the match. I think it's Junghyun.
Oh, was he actually the youngest?
Yeah, he's the youngest.
I was thinking of, and listeners, excuse me, I apologize. The one that I didn't like the most, that was really quiet and reserved in season one.
Really
And
quiet
he
and
he didn't he didn't get
reserved.
matched with anybody at any point.
Was that Songyo?
I
Or
don't think that
was
was his name. Because his
so then
Instagram name is something GYU, something Goo.
yeah, Changyo.
Changyo.
Yeah.
Is that the same person? That was, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one you kind of didn't really like because at first you said he was immature, and then
Mm-hmm.
towards the end he was pretty like, well, I
He
mean,
opened up.
towards the, yeah, he was. I feel bad for him though because he like, I think he was trying to be flirty at first, and then he was like, but uncomfortable. So I have this problem too, is when I'm nervous and when I'm like kind of anxiety and just like and comfortable around people, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of do these weird laughs and I can't stop
Mm-hmm.
laughing because I'm like nervous and I'm scared and I'm, and I think that was him at the beginning. And he was
Mm-hmm.
also, he shared a bed originally with Changmin, right?
Yes.
And he texts Changmin on the first night.
Yes.
Yes, that's him. That's Changgyo.
Yes. Look, all I know is
Not
I was
not
intrigued by
into him.
Charming.
Yes.
Everybody was. I
Yes.
fell into the hole with everyone else. He definitely had an energy and an air about him that yeah, he's the person to watch, to look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's also he's very familiar with it. Um,
Yeah. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. Like I'm sure he gets approached and pursued a lot.
yeah.
Yeah. And he
So
seems pretty confident too, so he probably pursues as well.
yeah. I will say season 2 seemed to get a little bit better with how they were um pursuing the calls. Season
Yes.
1, that whole process drove me nuts. I disliked that they had to call somebody and
Like
then all
in
of a
front of
sudden,
each other.
yeah, and then like halfway through they switched to putting letters in a box, like they couldn't figure out exactly what they wanted to do. And then
Yeah.
even season 2 they did mostly the phone calls, but what I did like was how they left a message. I wish they would have done that the whole season.
Yeah, I think so too.
Instead of sitting there awkwardly waiting for somebody to be like, hello, hello, who's this? Oh, I just wanted to say, I hope you have a good day. Haha. And it's like, if they would have had like some of the other shows, I watch a ton of shows, but some other shows do like, oh, well, I'll send you a text message. And then everybody gets their text message at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think something along that lines to where it's not you just awkwardly sitting in a room with somebody and hearing their phone ring, but actually,
Yes. Or like being so close, like in the like, so like
mhm,
some of them saw when someone else, like maybe their crush went down to go to the phone booth, and then they themselves didn't get a call, and it was so like disheartening. And
mhm,
you're like, but also at least in season 2 they didn't do the ending part with like
um,
them opening their mailboxes in front of each other, and then those who don't get any letters just stand there awkwardly watching other people pair up. It's like, so
that
that was
was the
awful.
most cringy
It was
moment.
cringy. It was disrespectful to your
Yes,
contestants.
that's the best way to put it. It was so disrespectful. I wanted to cry for half the people just standing. I'm like, so I go and call a number, like, and the number rings or not. Like, it was just so sad.
Yeah,
Sad.
it
So
was
I'm glad
awful.
they changed it up this time.
Yeah, I do definitely think season 2 is way more enjoyable than season 1, even though the contestants were all great, but structurally and as a
Mhm.
reality show, it wasn't that great.
Yeah, yeah. I wish they would have done a few more dates or a little bit more. I don't know. I felt like the dates were really short.
They were like, I'm not sure how anyone can like really get to know somebody through those dates. Like it's so like too produced,
Yeah.
especially when it's like just a coffee shop date, or like when Daniel and Min Sung went to that fishing date. Neither of them were enjoying it. They were like forcing this ice fishing on them, and they like definitely didn't want to do it.
And they were the only people on that side. Everybody else you can see was right across from them
Yeah.
on the fishing hole, probably getting a ton of fish. And they made a comment like, "Oh, I guess all the fish are over there." Like that was kind of like, okay, like, They should have been able to do where they like wrote down what they wanted to do and pick their own dates. But
Hmm.
I also know that because it's still I don't want to say taboo, that's too strong of a word, since it's still not the norm to see couples out like that in public, and being affectionate, that maybe they did it in places where they knew there wouldn't be a conflict. And
Well,
I also try to think of that in the background because it's like you didn't see many dates where they're holding hands and kind of like other people are around.
yeah. Well, mainly for at least for production goes, it's really hard to be in a space where there's so many people because like with sound and it's just like chaos. So usually I feel like with productions they find a place where like not a lot of people will be crossing the camera or like being a distraction to the couple.
Well, there's a show that I watch, plug, Heart Signal. They have a Chinese version and a Korean version.
Okay.
And it's very similar. It's 8 people, 4 and 4 in a house, and they go on group dates. And it's one of those things where, like, kind of, yeah, it's kind of isolated, but you can see there's other people, and maybe they're just a production crew, in the back, but you can see there's other people, so it doesn't feel so manufactured.
Yeah, okay.
That's
I've seen Heart Signal, but I thought it was a talk show. I did not
oh,
realize it was a dating show.
no, there's also so there's a talk show with Sungri, or no, not
Sungi.
Sungi. I was like, no, that's the wrong one. Sungi, that's Heart Signal. But then there's a reality show where they throw
Oh,
4 singles in a house, and it's like I think this newest season, which is like season 5, is like maybe like 20 episodes. I'm on like episode 4.
okay. I
Yeah,
might
but
have to go check that out.
it's on Viki. There's a few iterations. Speaking
Okay.
of which, we did mention this is on Aichi. And
Actually, yeah.
Aichi, it's worth the subscription. Honestly, it's worth the subscription alone. I
I love how
no
you're
regrets.
plugging IGE right now.
Like no, there's no regrets. I've watched tons of well, not tons. I've watched a fair amount of shows off of there.
I
Um,
love it. I think it's my favorite platform out of like most of the other like Chinese platforms.
mhm. Um, Overall, I liked both seasons, but I definitely say season 2, with regards to the production and the members, uh, for me just hit a little harder. I was surprised. I wasn't surprised. I did watch the YouTube follow up where they kind of watched their episodes and have that little clip, and
Yeah.
definitely had some giggles when Sung Ho and Jisun
Junsong.
Jung Sun, I apologize for butchering names, watched the clip, and he was like, yeah, I didn't watch the show because my ex was on the season 1.
Oh my gosh. That like okay. So I have a few questions to ask you before I get into my conspiracy theory. Right? So okay, before I get into that, what did you think about Min Sung and Hyunjin's like yeah, Hyunjin's pairing? Like was that okay. So this is kind of part of my thing is that I'm not sure they actually really liked each other. I just felt like they thought, oh, they could match, and then they matched just to like win the game. Like, I mean, not really that it's nothing to win, but like, you know what I mean? Because
uh, I agree. I think they're more friends than they are lovers.
yes, and that's why, like, even at after the show's finished airing, all the get-togethers and stuff. It's not there's no like specific Min Sung Hyunjin thing. Or although I think Min Sung went to Hyunjin to get his haircut. I did see like maybe a YouTube clip
A
of
clip
that,
or something. Yeah.
but it was definitely not like, oh, they're together. And part of me thinks that Min Sung actually really wanted to pair up with Daniel, but Daniel kind of pulled away.
Mm,
And so Min Sung knew that Daniel was like has given up on him already with like the day before they made the full like the decision. Daniel like gave his stuff back to Min Sung and like and didn't call him or like didn't send him that voicemail or whatever.
mhm, mhm,
So
mhm.
me, I mean, gave all the clues to Min Sung that he's not going to choose him at the end of the thing. So then Min Sung just decided to go with Hyunjin because he knew that Daniel was like over him.
I think so. I think I agree. And then when they did that little like summary at the end of like um when they had to write like who they really liked or whatever, and then they did like the after where they're talking with the crew, and he was just like, I just missed some signals, and I wish we would have talked things out instead of letting them like just dissolve.
Yeah.
Because I agree, I don't think Min Sung and Hyungjun were. I think they're friends.
Yeah.
I don't believe that as a couple. And that's the hard part. And I think the reason why we don't see so much content with the two of them is because they were probably like, yeah, I enjoy
Yeah.
hanging out with you, but that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to get into my conspiracy theory now, if that's okay. And I
Let's
also
do
want,
it.
okay, so I know that when and I've already been proven wrong. I'm just saying, like, I remember when we were talking, and I made this crazy conspiracy theory where like uh Jun Sung's ex was Hyuk-jun, and that
Oh,
Ho Keep basically stole Hyuk-jun stole Hyuk-jun from Jun Sung, and so that's why like Jun Sung didn't watch season 1 because he didn't want to see Hyuk-jun, and then all that stuff, and it was like all based off of Ho Keep doing his little short with Changyo.
mm-hmm.
And his promo was like, I've been dating the guy for a year that I met on a dating show, and I'm like, oh my god, Ho Keep actually stayed with Hyuk-jun, and that's why now they're doing a video together or making the announcement that they're dating. And then I was like, oh no, Jun Sung lost Hyuk-jun to Ho Keep, and then only to find out later, now that we know that it was Changmin that Jin Sung was dating.
Yes.
And so yeah, so what did you think when I started below, like, just telling you all my conspiracy theory? Did you think, oh my god, this girl is out of her mind?
So the YouTube clip from Hokeep was so misleading
It was.
because it was just writing. And so when you said that, I was 100% 10 toes down. Like, yep, I can't believe they stayed together because we remember we were messaging each other when all the controversy broke out about Hukjin having was already in a relationship when he was on the
Yes.
show. And
Yes.
so all of that drama, we were there as it was coming out. I have tons of TikToks from you about it where deep dived. And so when that clip came out, I was like, there's no way.
It
After they went
all
through all of that publicly, there's no way.
But it all aligns, right? With like my conspiracy theory, like, Jun Sung was dating Hyuk-jun while Hyuk-jun was in season 1, and then and then Hyuk-jun and Ho-kyuk stayed together. It just all kind of fell. I know I was totally wrong, but I
It
feel
made
like
sense.
it made sense. Yes.
At the time, it made sense because, again, all we had was that Hukjun was in a relationship.
Yes.
Jungsoon didn't watch the show.
Yes.
Hokeep came out with a clip saying he was still in the relationship with the guy he met on the show. All of it
Yes.
aligned. So when you said it, I was like, yeah, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. What? Why would he say this? Why would they do this? Did they not do their research and put the X on the show? And I'm waiting for the X I was literally waiting for Jungsoon to release something, say something out, out the relationship. Like, yeah, he cheated on me and he's still with the guy or something. And later when we find out, like, oh no, that's not who it was like, oh,
Oh, we're so wrong. So
oh,
wrong. But
so wrong.
it also makes sense because we also agree that Changmin is like the most attractive, and it
Yes.
would make sense that Jun Sung was dating Changmin because very good looking,
But
But
I still don't see them as a couple.
yeah, I don't see that too.
Very,
So,
very strong, tall, kind of brusque type of guys. I will say that definitely Jungmin has more uh, charisma,
mhm.
and Jungsoon is kind of like, I don't want to say shy, but he has a little bit of a soft shyness to him.
Yeah.
I just didn't see them. And then, but I also knowing that Chungmin was older than him makes the difference too.
It's interesting, and I don't know because like how many years are they apart? But like Changmin had said he was in college when
Hmm.
Junsung was in high school,
When he was
which
graduating high school. So he was
oh
18 at least because he went to the
yes,
graduation dinner.
okay, yes, and met his mom. I
Hmm.
remember them saying that.
Actually, I think in Korea they graduated at 19, right?
I have no idea. I don't
So
know.
18 to 19-ish.
Okay, okay.
And then maybe 21 because Chungmin looks young
He
even now.
does look young, but he was already, I don't know, because Junsung is 27, right?
Yeah.
Currently. And then Changmin was already 30 something last year, like 32, 33.
Okay. So maybe like a 4-year age gap,
Yeah.
3 to 4 years.
I don't know. I don't know. I always, I'm always weirded out when like adults are dating high school kids, but that's me.
Yeah.
So,
I
anyway.
had a boyfriend that was in high school when I was my first year of college. So I have a different perspective. Like I was 19, he was 18. It wasn't weird.
Well, that's not weird because you're only a year apart, and you were
But
just in high school.
people did the same thing or like you're in college and he's in high school. And I was like, yeah, but no. But no, I get it. Because especially when there's a gap.
Yeah.
But also in my head, I'm like, it depends on when they meet and like if he's 18 and he's 22, that doesn't feel super wide to me. That just feels like, oh, okay, like a couple years.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, if you're like 16 and he's like 21, that's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
back this
And
train all the way up.
and I say this now because I'm an old lady, but but I mean when I was young I dated like way like had a boyfriend that was 10 years older than me and I was 17. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. So like I mean, it's just different when I was the minor.
Yeah, I think it's perspective, but overall, I think, like I said, even seeing that relationship, like learning that that's what that relationship was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but then also like, okay, when they were playing Jenga in season 2, and they're like telling their stories of kind of like how they came out or did they come out, it also puts perspective because Jung Soon was like, I was in an awkward family situation when it happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, was he at the actual graduation dinner and his boyfriend shows up like, oh, here's flowers and I'm his boyfriend.
Yeah. Well, no, because he said that they guessed it, right? So
Hmm.
they didn't announce that Chungmin was his boyfriend. It was something they just guessed. His family guessed it, and clearly the way that they're talking about it was very against them being together.
Yeah.
So, which is sad, and even Young he said like that's like he now understands why Jun Sung is so like quiet and to
Hmm.
himself, and it
Hmm.
makes sense when you go through a lot of trauma like that. Um, you tend to keep to yourself more.
Yeah. And I feel bad for Debbie. Poor Debbie didn't get no love, Debbie.
I
Nobody,
know.
nobody was, and he even took the man. But okay, wait. Season 2, when they had that conversation, when um, it was Jungsun, Sung Ho, and Daniel. Was it Daniel or was it the other guy that does the hair? The guy that does the hair. Who does the hair?
Hyunjin.
And Hungjin, and he took them to the room and was talking about Babe. I felt so
Oh yeah,
horrible
that
because then he
was
went back and tells him like, "Oh, I didn't really like the date." And when he was like, "Well, you could have kept that to yourself," that's 100% how I felt. You could have kept
yeah.
that to yourself.
It was very unnecessary for him to bring it up. And then he said that the whole reason why he started feeling uncomfortable because he had brought him back to his home. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and here's the thing. As Dubby, I could see like him only being comfortable at home, and he seems like a very like shy, reserved person. So he probably doesn't know where to take him on a date. And they were like kind of put together like
Mhm.
they weren't expecting to go on a date. So he would like just, like casually was like, "Hey, want to check out my place and
Yeah.
introduce you to my dog?" Like that was his whole thing. And like it was Hyunjin that like really thought too much of it and thought, I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, like his fans or whatever, but he thought too much of himself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, like, oh, just because someone took you home doesn't mean they're like so in love with you, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just I
I
don't
feel like
know.
I feel like Debbie was like, this is my world. This is what I do. Here's my music. Here's my pet. I just came back from America. This is, where I'm comfortable. And I felt like it was like that. Like if somebody ever offered, it's like, hey, come over to my house and have dinner. I didn't think it was the whole big situation he made it out to be. And part of me is like, did they do it because they needed a little bit of drama? Because it was such an awkward conversation. Because both the guys, Sungho and Jung Soon, were like, mm-mm, it is like I don't see anything wrong with it.
They didn't see anything wrong with it, but they also said, well, if you think it would make him uncomfortable and you would think that like and that you think you're leading Dabi on, you should tell him. So they were telling Hyunjin to go talk to Dabi.
But I don't think the way he delivered, the delivery was so horrible.
The delivery was
So horrible.
horrible because he said exactly what he didn't even try to like make it sound better. He said exactly what he said to his friends
Mm-hmm.
to Dubby. So there was like no reason to even like ask his friends if you're gonna say exact, like not even dress it up a little bit, you know? So
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Anyway,
definitely frustrated me.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, like I don't think too highly of Hyunjin as a contestant on the show. Like obviously I don't know him as a person, but like
Mhm.
he was not my favorite on the show.
No, and can I tell you a moment that absolutely made me laugh out loud when he came downstairs and one of the guys was like, "Oh, you moved your bangs to the other side."
Oh my god, I laughed so hard at that too.
Oh, I was like, "Oh no, they were so pronounced." I
Yeah.
I don't know why it was for him to be a hair. It was such a sharp look,
Yeah.
such a very sharp look. This split down the middle with the bang just over one eye. It Wow, that was a look. And when he said, "Oh, you switched it to the other side," I said, "Take me down right now."
I did. I also had the same reaction. I was like, damn, burn.
Yeah, that was
He
probably
did,
one of my favorite moments.
yeah, he didn't mean it as a burn, but we definitely took it as a burn.
Yes. But if they came out with a season 3, I'm on it. I'm
Oh,
watching
they've already casted season
it.
3.
Did they?
Yeah. Because when before season 2 was even airing, they sent out all the postings that they're casting season 3.
I I kind of hope that they do a little bit longer than 7 days, which I know is kind of hard because like even Heart Signal, they actually have the contestants. They still go to work and stuff. Like that's how some of the bonds form, where they're
Yeah.
like, oh, I gotta go to work. You want to drop me off at the station? Blah blah blah. So I kind of wish it was a little longer. And I kind of wish that though they showed a lot of house interactions, I think there are so many things that we weren't able to see with regards to them building those relationships because season 2 definitely feels like they're closer than season 1.
Yeah.
And I think there was those, late night conversations. Even the guy smoking out on the patio when
Yeah.
what's his name would walk up to the door to the window every day and tap on the window. Like
Yeah.
those moments where it's like, oh, so you feeling him.
Yeah, those are real cute. I'm glad they were able to show us those like kind of towards the end of
Yeah,
the show.
but they could have, what was it, 8 episodes? It felt short.
No, it was like the whole show. I think it was like 14 or
Oh, was it?
yeah, 14 or 16, something like that.
Uh,
I could check.
it felt like it was fast.
It was fast because I think they released 2 episodes a week.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Yeah. So
Saying all of that to say, I love the show. I want some more. I
yeah,
want
I
more
do
to it.
too. It is 14 episodes. I wanted more interaction, and I understand because even Junsung was like kind of like concerned because yeah, we spent 8 days together, and I'm putting all my attention on you. But
Mm-hmm.
when I
Mm-hmm.
get back to my real life, like there's no way that, like, I will try to, put a lot of attention on you, but I have work, I have other things that I
Mm-hmm.
can't possibly,
And he said
but
all of that, then moved in with him.
I know.
I watched that video yesterday
Oh my God, they're so cute with this. Ugh.
with the little
So
cat.
where he like climbs on top of him and just lies down and treats Jinsung as like a part of the bed is so adorable.
Oh, they're cute. And then even Sung Woo went and hang out with them at the apartment.
I didn't see that part.
It was
Uh,
literally before they announced, I guess before they announced they were together, he was sitting on the floor and he pans over and you see the two, and then he
oh,
pans back to like the little table or something. Like it was supposed to be the three of them hanging out. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, third wheel.
that's hilarious. Well, Sunwoo says they go to Melted
Uh-huh.
almost every day. Like they're there way too often.
Yeah. And he's like, everything they're doing all their YouTube videos here, like go home.
Well, all their events are done at Melted too, because I don't know if you saw Kano, the Rottweiler, David's
Hmm.
dog.
Hmm.
They had their birthday party at Melted.
Yeah. I
Kano's
mean,
birthday party.
it's always nice to have a friend that owns a business.
That's true.
You don't have to go
But
rent anywhere.
but I'm surprised they don't do it at Daniel's bar.
Oh, I mean, true. Everybody's of age. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did do some like was it reaction videos of the show at
Hmm.
Daniel's bar, but
Hmm.
for the most part, I feel like they hang out at
I
Melted
loved it.
more.
And they did have
Although
season one at the reaction uh party. I saw Danger and Sissy there.
no, that was actually season 2 because Stanger and Sissy and Daniel are friends. He just showed up at the reaction thing, but it
Okay,
was actually for season 2.
no, it was for season two, but some of the people from season one were there, is what
Yeah,
I would. Yeah, and I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
that's so cute. They're all friends.
I know, I know.
Again, it's the trauma they all share. That we all went through this show together. Nobody will ever know. I wonder if they'll do a season with all women.
I hope they do.
I do too. I
Yeah,
do too. I absolutely hope so. I
I
would
would.
be on that.
I Yeah, and then we'll be dishing about that too.
Oh my gosh, why didn't she just say what she wanted? Why did she have to beat around the bush? And we just want to see love. People just want to see love.
We
Give us hope that
do.
there's love out there for
I
all
think
of us.
we're more of a love addict, so
I,
that's what we want to watch.
yeah, let me consume. We scream at the TV, consume it all.
Yeah,
I'm ready for season 3.
I am too.
I'm
I
like,
just
yeah, season 3.
I want to see who else is going to be on it, but also like, I'm sure like, past contestants maybe recommend new contestants, who knows. I know they have to like send in an application or something like that, but
I
it'll
hope
be
they have
interesting.
if they like say come to season 5 and have like an all-star season of people that didn't match up and put them all in the house together.
Oh my God, I'd be so ready to see that. I want Dabi to have like a significant other. I want Changyu to have a significant other.
I agree.
Um, yeah,
I agree. That's why I said put all the VIP, put all the old players in the one house, because then by then they got a little bit of their personality. They know a little bit of the backstory, and they can
yeah,
really just run amok. Because I think people's personalities bring out certain aspects of other people's personalities.
yeah,
And even though like I like season 2 the most, and I think like you said, it's mostly the production of it. I can see that if some of those people from season 1 with season 2, the personalities that would have kind of had the opportunity to sparkle and shine.
yeah,
Everybody's like this professional. Season 2 felt more professional. Season 1 really felt like we're the YouTubers, we're the people that don't mind having our faces out there. Like we already are, out and about in the community. Like
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about here. And season 2 felt more like the people that were like, oh, I'm a little shy, like only my close knits know, type of thing. And if you combine the two of those, I think season 1 contestants would bring out so much more personality out of season 2, to where they're like, yeah, let's go to a drag show. Let's go, turn up. I think that part was missing.
Yeah.
Don't let my baby, Danger and Sissy, show out in full glam.
I
Full
know.
glam. I was on Danger Sissy's page today. Love that guy. Love him and love her.
Yes.
So yeah. But thank you for having me on your show.
Thanks for making time for us.
Oh, of course. Of course.
All right, so that concludes our His Man Talk with Alexis. Yeah, so if you guys have not seen the show, it is on iQIYI where Alexis and I watched it. It's also on Gaga Ooh La La, or it's also on YouTube. I think the YouTube channel is Wavy. WAVVE is the YouTube channel, so go ahead and check that out. It's a really fun show, and it's nice to see them kind of interacting. And again, it's like kind of groundbreaking, knowing how Korean entertainment and things like that are. It's really good to support the show also.
So what about the ratings? Like, how do you rate it? So you're going to use the system we use here, the Drama Mean Effectiveness Scale, and then Alexis rated it based on her 1 through 10 scale from her podcast.
Yes. So Alexis told me that she thinks that season 1 is a 7 out of 10 and season 2 is an 8 out of 10. And I tend to agree. So basically it is season 1 is onboard karaoke for me, and season 2 is in the buffet line. So where we agree on the level of rating, just we're using our scale here.
And you both liked season 2 better than season 1?
Yes, definitely, especially format-wise. Season 1 is just... I think they were still testing a lot of things out, trying to get an idea of how they really want the structure of the show to be like. And I think they changed a few things in season 2 to improve it. So we definitely agree that the changes are very welcomed.
I did not rate this one because I did not watch it. You may have noticed from my lack of participation in the conversation with Alexis. I don't watch much reality TV. I think after working on so much of it early in my career and even your career, like, we dealt with a lot of great reality TV crap.
Yes.
So I don't really watch much, although I will say I watched a lot of Top Gear and Grand Tour when I went to Amazon. And though we did used to watch a lot of the Korean variety shows.
Yes.
We were the biggest Running Man fans like ever.
Yes, definitely. I still watch some of them. I tend to stick to music shows and also dating shows, basically. But for the most part, I don't watch a whole lot of variety shows or reality TV anymore. I don't know if it's like, I just love music in general, but also like working on American Idol back in the day, like I just love music shows.
Yeah, I stay away from the reality TV. But, to each his own. If you love reality TV, then you can go check out His Man.
True. So yeah, definitely I want to thank Alexis for joining us for this episode, and definitely go check her podcast out. It's Drama Kween. That's Queen Kween, and it's also on Spotify, so check that out. So now we want to give a little recommendation. Since we were talking about reality shows, I want to recommend a Chinese dating reality show. It's a reality show where celebrities get paired up with, either non-celebrities or other celebrities, and they're actually looking to date. So that's one of the options. The title of the show is called Finding Mr. Right. I watched season 4 of the show, and basically there were a few contestants where they brought their real life boyfriends onto the show and kind of filmed how they interact. And then there was one celebrity that didn't have a boyfriend but was looking for a significant other, and so she was introduced to several other options for her to date or like get to know. So, but I know that season 2 there was an actress, a Taiwanese actress named Jo Chen, and she actually met her current husband on the show, and so the show introduced her to now her current husband.
Oh, that's crazy. So, and when they brought their significant others, was it like stress testing their relationships? Were they like new relationships, or were these old married couples? Like, what was the deal?
So one celebrity, she and this singer-songwriter had dated for 1 year, and they were going on the show. And the concept of the show is their parents are like on set watching like all the like how the interaction between the couples, or like the first dates of like this one mom was watching her daughter go on the first date. So then one couple was she was a very prominent actress, has been in the industry for years, and she started dating a guy like 8 years younger than her. And so it was that, like watching how they like get along and things like that. And then one couple actually broke up on the show.
Oh, so they went on the show as a couple and then they broke up. We won't give a spoiler on that one though, because people can go watch this.
Yes.
We're not going to do the full review and spoil it, all that stuff for you.
Yes. So go check out Finding Mr. Right. That is a Chinese reality TV show on Mango TV. So I believe Mango TV has its own channel on YouTube, and you can go check that out.
And speaking of episodes, that wraps up this episode of the Drama Meets podcast. We're going to be back next week on Monday, and we're going to be talking about, what are we talking about again? A Thai BL?
A Thai BL called Be My Favorite.
Excellent. So come back for that, and thank you so much for listening to this week. And thank you again to Alexis and all the fun insight.
Yes, thank you, and see you next week.